Good morning. I'm going to show you guys how I put together my naturally leavened bread. This is what we have for a recipe. 66% natural leavened bread. We're going to use 883 grams of flour, 543 grams of water, 20 grams of salt, 235 grams of starter, 22 grams of sweetener. I like using agave. You can use sugar. And the recipe will make 2 loaves. So to get consistency, I like to weigh my my ingredients. Once you find a product that you like, then you could change the ingredients. But to get a consistent product, you should always weigh your ingredients and work from there. First, 883 grams of flour. A little too much. There we go, 883 grams of flour. We can put in 20 grams of salt. I use kosher salt. There we go, 20. Now we're going to put in 543 grams of water. I like using bottled water. Some cities have additives in their water. I like to keep things as pure as I can. We're looking 543 grams of water. If I paid attention more, I guess I would know that it's more than a bottle's worth. There's 543 grams of water. And then I'm going to add in 22 grams of my sweetener. There we go. And I'm going to just throw this inside the microwave for about 30 seconds. We don't want to go too hot on that. If we go too hot, we can kill our starter when we put it in there. But it seems to like the warmth. It reacts a little better. We're mixing our dry ingredients. If we were using sugar, granulated sugar instead of the agave, I would have mixed it into the dry ingredients. But being we're using the agave and it's liquid, we'll mix it in with the liquids. Now we're going to look for 235 grams of starter. I make that my minimum. I tend to put in a little bit more just because it's harder to measure out. You can see how it's floating on top here and the consistency of it. Okay, 237. That's more than fine. You saw how it was floating on top. And I just mixed this in. All together. Now it's all about getting that flour wet. It's going to get too thick to mix with this a little dough stirrer. I'm going to pull out my bowl scraper and do the last part of mixing it for the first mix. It takes a while for the water to soak in. So the first part of making it, I tend to come to it and mix it up like every half hour for the first hour and a half. You kind of see the consistency, it's kind of shaggy. And this recipe makes 2 loaves. Try to get all the scrapings off the side so it's all in there so it has a chance to absorb the water. Just kind of start folding it. This is the action I'll be using for mixing it. When I contact the dough every half hour, just kind of fold it in there. Make sure that you don't have any dry flour on the bottom. And that's good for now. I got these little bowl covers. They're nice. for not letting the top of the dough dry out. Cover it like that. And we're just going to let it soak in that water, like putting a layer between the counter, which tends to be cool, and the dough, so it doesn't so it tends to be a little warmer. The temperature in the house is probably about 70-72 degrees, and I find that's fine for it rising. So I'll show you on the next mix what it looks like then. Okay, it's been about a half hour. You can see that it's still a bit shaggy, but less so. You can tell by the consistency when I fold it over that it's hydrating. And let me just wet my hand, see if we can take hand folding. See, it's already getting a nice texture to it. So I'll just cover this up again and we'll check it in another half hour, 45 minutes. It's coming together rather nice, so you just might let it start to rise after that. Okay, time to do another fold. You can see the consistency looking pretty nice. At this point I'll just be using my hands mostly. Break it loose from the bowl side. I wet my hands so that it doesn't stick to my hands. You can see the consistency is much nicer now. It's absorbed most of that water. It doesn't need much anymore. So I think I'm just going to let it rise now. Next time I pull it out, I'll probably be splitting the dough into 2 batches for the final rise. Simple, see? Okay, we're back. So right now we're going to split it up into 2 loaves. You see, it looks like it rose a bit. Got some air inside there. So we know this bowl here weighs 1,503 grams. And we got 31.97. So 31.97 minus 1503. The weight of our dough is 1694 divided by 2. And we have 847 gram loaves if we're going to make them even. So put this aside right here. So we're just going to give a little dusting here so it doesn't stick. our time of being rougher with the dough is over. We don't want to break it down. So let me just get it out. So I'm going to shape it and put it in the bannetons. To get the dough properly sized, I weigh it. I put a little bit of ham on there, and I'm not sure if you can see that there, but we're going to now zero out the plate. And I'm just going to give myself a nice log like that, kind of eyeball it, and basically pick one. That's 866. It's a little heavy. Just pull some off. 840. Pulled off too much. 847. Good enough for government work. Done with the scale. Okay. So now we're going to shape. Going to shape these up. Basically, I just pull the edges over into the center and just keep on going around. It's a little sticky when you grab it. The face of it down below is in a little bit of flour, so it tends to give it a better skin. And just keep pulling it around. You can see it's taking shape. And we got a nice skin there. A little bit more flour. I'm just going to kind of drag it and let it put some tension on that skin. And these are the bannetons I use. I use rice flour. I made the rice flour myself using raw flour and using the Vitamix and just pulverizing it. I just shake it around inside there, try to get it along the edges. And pour off some of it. It's heavy, so it's going to sit on the bottom. And then I just turn this over face, put your finished side down, and then I go through and I put some more down the side. I use a marker like that little staple there, and just sprinkle it down the side. There's going to be way too much, and when I pull it out of the banneton, I'm going to have to scrape off the extra flour. But if you don't do it, it sticks to the banneton, and a lot of your hard work can go to waste. And do the next one. And just work your way around, just like we did on the other one. You could feel the air in it. And don't worry about, it's okay to catch some more air as you fold it in. You can see bubbles that are forming. Slide it, tension up that skin. And we got our flour in here. Flip this puppy over. Work our way around. Okay. Now we got 2 bannetons. I'm just going to cover them in plastic, keep them from drying out. And like I did with the bowl, I'm going to put a temperature barrier, a little towel. And now we wait. Okay, we're ready to do the next step now. You can see how the bread rose the bannetons. So what we're going to do is put it on a piece of parchment paper. And let's try it up. You can see that there's a lot of flour on there still. And what I do is I just use a pastry brush. And just brush it all off the bread as much as I can. You can see how nice that loaf is. And then gotta knock all the extra flour off of the paper. Gotta be careful not to drop it, misshape it, because it is a saggy kind of loaf. And that's good. Then we're going to score it. Do that with just a razor blade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to score it as an X first of all. We'll go kind of deep. Sorry for the lighting. It's a little dark in the kitchen sometimes. Get a nice X. And then I also bring a little slice down here. There's lots of different scoring methods for lots of different designs. I kind of like the way this one comes out, and there's lots you can play with and see how it opens up. There's one that looks really nice. Like I said, it depends on what you like. But you just score it around and it opens up like a cap. And put that aside. We'll get number 2 out here. See how nice it just comes off the bannetons? You should see how it comes off when you don't flour it with enough flour. And get rid of that excess flour, like I said. If you leave the flour on, it kind of tends to scorch in the high heat. I preheated the oven at 425 and heated it up with the Dutch ovens that I'm going to be baking them in inside there as well. And I preheated for probably about 45 minutes at 425. Make sure everything is up to temperature. And now I'm back looking for my tools. Oh, there it is. And there's this first score. And the second score. A couple little slices. Make sure you do it so they open up. Otherwise they'll just kind of seal right back up. Now, I'm going to take you guys over here. I'll show you what I'm going to do on this side. Now this is probably the most dangerous part. The stuff I'm pulling out here is very hot. Remember, this is all heated up to 425. Now I tend to not use my mitts when I do this part. Try not to touch the metal. You'll be real disappointed if you do. And don't go grabbing the lid after you put this in. It's still hot. Use your mitts. Oh. Give it a little spritz of water in there to keep the moisture up high. And kind of get a couple of those crinkles out there. A little spritz again. Now we're going to leave that in there for 30 minutes covered. At 30 minutes we're going to take the covers off. And I'll see you then. Okay, so the alarm went off for 30 minutes. So we're taking off the covers. And now we're going to give it a chance to brown. See, they're looking pretty good. They split really nice. Come back in for another 15 minutes. And we'll see a browner version of what you just saw. Okay, 15 minutes has passed. We're going to go ahead and bring out our bread. See how nice it browned up and the splits. Let me get it out of the pan. There we have it. A couple of nice loaves, a couple of boules of sourdough. It's too early to cut into them. Leave that to cool. And there you have it. Simple as 1, 2, 3. Thanks for watching, guys.